Hello, my name is Jody Ann Johnson, and I'm the CEO of Action Coach business coaching firm Team Sage here in Miami, and the host of Business Spotlight South Florida, where we focus on the businesses that make South Florida great. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Alexander Fedorowicz. Fedorowicz, is that correct?
Yep. That's correct.
Okay, great. The founder and CEO of QRxLabs, an advanced skincare line. Welcome, Alexander. Could you please tell us a bit about your company and what makes it unique?
Sure. Good morning. Great to be with you, Jody. We're a small company. We're a relatively new brand to a market that's very, very crowded. As you probably know, in the US, there's probably thousands of brands of skincare products. And so we tried to come to the market with a slightly different angle, which is today, if you look at the skincare market in general, it's very polarized. You have a lot of companies nowadays that are focused on all the pure, natural, organic, 100% natural ingredients and all that, which is great. It's been a market that's been growing very quickly, and there's a lot of interest in that market by the consumer. And then you have all the large traditional skincare companies and laboratories like L'Oreal and SkinCeuticals and all these big companies that mostly formulate using technology and science and mostly leverage synthetic ingredients. Sometimes you look at the ingredient list and it's just a bunch of names that you don't even know how to pronounce, right? And so it's a very, very different approach, right? And we looked at that market as outsiders originally and just thought it didn't make any sense because there's a lot of great natural ingredients and most people like to use a product that's mostly natural, but at the same time, there's also a lot of technological innovation. So we thought, why not make a product that's mostly natural, but still leverage some of the proven, safe technology that's out there, right? And mix them to make a product that's mostly natural, but that's very effective and that works and that performs and that brings the results that the consumers are looking for. And that's where the whole concept of nature enhanced came. And one of our taglines is experience nature enhanced by science, and it's really exactly like what we do, right? We take the best from nature, the best from science, we mix it together, and we create products that are mostly natural, not 100% natural, but mostly natural, and that are effective and have actives that are proven and that work and that deliver results.
It's fascinating. I love that, nature enhanced by science, because the science that has been evolving since I've been alive. If you look back in World War II, they didn't even have antibiotics. They used sulfur, right?
Sure.
So we've come a really, really long way in the last 100 years in terms of being able to really eradicate some of the, not just the diseases, but to bring it over to skincare. And of course, me included, we all want to look our best. And so this line of products that you have, I was quite fascinated with when I was doing research on your company. How did you come up with the name QRxLabs?
That's a good question. So first of all, for anybody today who's launching a company or launching a brand, right? I don't know if you know, but it's really become a challenge to find a name for your brand or for your business where the name is available, is not already used by somebody else. The trademark has not been registered, and the domain name on the internet is also available, right? So finding that the combination of these three factors is actually very, very challenging. It's surprising how many names are already either the trademark is registered or the domain name is already registered, or somebody's already using the name somewhere. And it's very surprising, but it's very, very, very hard. So usually, when you start doing that kind of brainstorming to come up with a good name, the majority of whatever you're going to come up with, even the ones that you think are not so good, they're already taken. So it's very difficult, right? To find a good, and there's criteria so that we wanted to for our brand to meet, easy, not too long, easy to remember, easy to spell out, that you don't have to explain how to spell, how to write, or because today is also a challenge, right? If I tell you what our domain name is and you don't know how to spell it, you're probably not going to be able to find our website. And so we wanted labs in the name because labs reflects like what we do, and and we're a serious company, and our products are products that have active ingredients and all that. And then we went with the RX, the uppercase R, lowercase x, which represents in most people's mind a prescription, right? So typically this is how, even if you look on the traditional old prescription papers, they had an RX, at the top, and that's the symbol for prescription. And then, we added the Q in front, which is quality, right? I mean, and that's a big, factor for us. I mean, we want to produce products that are affordable, that don't have a huge, luxury level price tag. So our products are very affordable, and they deliver great results. They have larger formats. They deliver more value for the consumer, but they have the same quality that you would find in some top of the line, what's considered luxury brands, right? So you start looking at some of the ingredients that we use, the type of squalane that we use in our squalane-based products, the type of vitamin C that we use, the type of glycolic acid. I mean, those are the same ingredients that are used in some of the most expensive skincare products today, out there in the market. So we have that level of quality. We have a price that's affordable, and that we try to reflect that in the brand name, and obviously find a name that was available, and so that's the name that we got, and it's worked out for us. I think that it resonates with people. It's short, it's easy, and
Yeah, I was intrigued by it. My background was emergency nursing before I went into business, and so that RX that caught my eye. But it's a really good explanation of how you named your company. It's brilliant. All right, so how long have you been in business?
So technically, our company's been in business now for almost 10 years, but our company started completely differently. Originally, we were just like a lot of people out there, purchasing products, wholesale, reselling them online. And so we were just really like a trading or online retailing company, right? And then, at some point we realized that being a middleman had very little future in this new world, right? Because middlemen are now, not that useful, at least not as useful as they used to be. There's a lot more transparency in pricing, in inventory availability, location, and channels. And so like middleman is a role that's shrinking. Margins are shrinking for middlemen. And so we saw that the path towards the future was really around owning a brand, building a brand, and controlling that brand, and controlling the destiny of that brand, right? And so back in 2016, we decided to create our own skincare brand, QRxLabs. And so we initially, during that year, we worked on creating the brand.
Welcome back, Alexander. I know that the internet can be
Sorry
funny,
about the
right?
interruption. Our internet connection just got dropped by Comcast because they're making network improvements in the area. And so I had to use the backup, and I just jumped onto my hotspot from T-Mobile. So we're back. You always have to have some contingency plans, and that's what we do to continue doing business.
Exactly. The show must go on, right?
Let's go
Great,
on.
Alexander. And you're right. As entrepreneurs, we cannot let the circumstances get in the way. We always have to find a way around it. So well done. And welcome back. Right. So you were telling me about in 2016 that you started your own skincare line so that you could actually manage the brand itself and grow the brand itself.
Exactly.
And innovated your business model. So like, well done.
Exactly. So we launched at the end of 2016 with a single product. And since then, we've just focused on building our brand. And, now we're 6 years down the road, and we have over 35 products in our product line. We have different sub-product lines and all that. So we've actually done, quite well. And I'm very happy with where we are, because when we launched the brand, I have a few friends who were in the beauty business before, and they told me, don't do it. You're going to lose your shirt. This business is cutthroat. Unless you have millions of dollars for marketing, it's almost impossible. You're not going to make it. It's too competitive. It's too expensive. And we kind of ignored a little bit like that advice, and we decided to start small and to focus on online, direct to consumer, ignore the traditional brick and mortar world and all that. And it served us because, with online, you can be a lot more efficient and you can get a lot done with smaller budgets. And that's what we were able to do, and just grow from there, step by step. And today we have a nice operation. We have a great brand. It's growing. It's got a lot of consumers that are even on subscriptions for some of our products now. So we've acquired a lot of trust from consumers. We value that trust, we respect it, and we continue to build it and release more and more products based on the feedback that we get from our customers. So finally, we made it. And sometimes you just have to ignore the advice and just go for it.
Well-meaning people with bad advice, right?
Sure.
Simon Sinek says that people don't care what you do or how you do what you do. They care why you do what you do. So why do you do this? Why are you doing this? I can see the passion. So what is it?
Well, first of all, my background is not consumer products or CPG. It's not retail. It's none of that. My background is really technology, right? I studied computer science in university. I worked in the IT world for over 20 years. Worked for some of the largest, tech, tech 5 companies, IBM, Oracle, very large companies. In a completely different world, different business, all virtual, no physical product, right? Selling software, building software. And so, when we got the opportunity to launch a skincare brand, after being more than 20 years in the same industry and all that, part of the attraction for me was just like getting into something different, something new, something totally different, something physical. Now we have physical product, we have machines, we make product, we ship product, we deal with trucks and pallets and forklifts, and it's completely different. So it was after doing the same thing for more than 20 years, even though I love IT, I love tech, I still love it today. I loved working for these big companies. I learned a lot from them. I also love being in a new industry and doing something different, something innovative, and creating things and creating products that we can then send to people and see their feedback and reading the reviews. I mean, I don't know if you've been to our product pages on Amazon to read some of the reviews. They're amazing reviews. They're amazing stories. People who say, wow, I had this problem for 5 years. I tried like over 25 products and nothing was working. And now I got this product and somehow it's worked for me. And within 2 or 3 weeks, I see so much improvement. This is crazy. Some people just write reviews and they say, this is their holy grail, and I'm not saying that our products are just that we invented something that didn't exist or anything like that, but we make good products with good ingredients at high concentrations, and we sell them at affordable prices. And so we give the opportunity to some people who maybe didn't have access to these types of products because of the price or because of other factors. Suddenly they have access to the products, they use them, and they work for them. And we see the result, for them, for their lives and for their health. And that's great. I mean, it's really encouraging to see that. It's motivating and it's fun. So yeah. I'm passionate about it, as you can see.
I can see it, which is a great thing. You say we. Do you have a partner?
Yes, I have a partner from the beginning of the business, and so her name is Silvana, and we're both owners of the company. We've both been there from the beginning. We don't have any other investor or anything. It's really like the two of us who own the entire business, and our roles are very clearly like separated. Like, so she's very focused on the operational. So everything around our staff, our manufacturing operation, our fulfillment operation, all that. I mean, she manages all that. And I'm focused on strategy, product development, finance, basically kind of like all of the front facing, aspects of the business.
You're describing what Gino Wickman wrote in his book Traction about the integrator and the visionary. So you're the visionary and she's the integrator, that visionary who's out there, big kind of relationships, banking relationships, marketing, and then the operational person who does implementation of the strategy that you come up with. So that's great, because
right. And I think that works well. I think sometimes in some businesses, when you have two partners, for example, who are both visionaries, or who are both operational, it tends to create problems, right? Because like either you're, they're both operational and you're kind of like missing that visionary part and the strategic part, or they're both visionaries and then they just collide because like they have slightly different visions or radically different visions, and they just can't get, they can't agree. So yeah, I mean, I think it's good to have both sides and balance each other out and complement each other. So yeah,
That's
it's
great.
worked out.
Good. Great. So given your business model, were there opportunities and even challenges in the pandemic?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yes and yes. I mean, that were there opportunities, of course, because a lot of people were stuck at home and they just started focusing on their computers, their tablets, their cell phones, and what they could purchase online without necessarily leaving their home, or just having more time on the devices simply and looking at things. And so, kind of like the visits and the page views and everything skyrocketed during the pandemic because they were just locked up in their homes and they have nothing to do, right? So they're going through their social media and going through Amazon and going through everything they can, just
Right.
looking at stuff, right? And so that was definitely an opportunity from that perspective. Now, there were also a lot of challenges. And so, we didn't have the challenges that certain businesses like restaurants had because we're a manufacturing company and we ship direct to consumers. So we never stopped operating, not a single day during the pandemic.
Right.
Like we were open every single day because we work in a very sanitized environment because we make skincare products. Everything, is covered every day with 99.5% isopropyl alcohol. So actually we never even really had people getting sick or anything in our facility because everything is so sanitized that like is not a good environment for viruses to to propagate. So we never really had like a big wave of COVID or anything, thank God, and we were able to continue operating during that period of time. But there were other challenges. There were a lot of challenges around logistics. So just trucking and the whole freight industry, delays, crazy cost increases, unavailability of trucks and drivers and all that. There were problems with availability of certain components and materials that we use to make products. So suddenly, we had to be very creative. Hey, like that type of jar has become unavailable across the United States. It's just impossible to find. Well, we're going to have to use a slightly different jar, and so we had to adapt. We had to be very flexible and agile and very proactive. There were certain things that were running out. We had to like purchase larger quantities to stock up and be able to maintain continuity of our materials and supplies. And then there were other challenges, for example, around online advertising. If you have any people in your audience who do a lot of online advertising, I'm sure they went through the same thing. Suddenly, very large companies that used to have large budgets for offline advertising were not able to use these budgets for offline advertising, and they just redirected all of that online, not necessarily in a very efficient or strategic way. So it's kind of like, hey, I got 100 million here that I was planning to spend on billboards in airports. All airports are closed. Well, let me just like pump that into online advertising. Doesn't matter. Just blast ads like everywhere you can, right? So suddenly these businesses are like paying insane amounts of money for clicks and for impressions, and that obviously affected negatively anybody else who's dependent on the online advertising to drive their business and drive their volume. So it affected us. Our advertising costs went up.
Yeah,
so that was those were indirect impacts for us. And now we see that everything is kind of like not 100%, but everything has obviously we don't talk about COVID anymore so much in the US, but there's still some remnants from that in terms of the impact, inflation, some of the changes that happened on advertising costs, freight costs, and all that. It's come back, but it's not come back 100% yet. So I think we still have some room for more correction.
Well, you were expressing agility and the ability to be kind of nimble in response, and I think that's a gift that entrepreneurs have. What would you say is your biggest business challenge in the next 2 to 3 years?
I think in the next 2 to 3 years, probably our biggest challenge is is just taking our business to the next level. And there's always a next level, right? I mean, so initially we started very, very small, had a single product, had no initial customer audience or anything, because we're a new brand, right, starting from scratch. And so that's a big challenge. Right now we've surmounted that challenge, and we now have an entire product line, and we have a pipeline of new products, and we have a large audience of customers, and we have subscribers to some of our products and all that. And so now is like, the challenge is, how do we get then to the next level, right? Like, and for example, how do we get more international exposure in certain key countries? How do we get more exposure in alternative channels where we're not necessarily present today, right? Maybe how do we start penetrating into brick and mortar in certain cases where it's strategic? So there's a lot to do. I mean, we're still, we've grown substantially, but we're still very small compared to some of the giants in that business.
Yeah.
That business continues to grow. That segment continues to grow. Skincare is a huge segment, has huge growth every year. So there's still a lot of room to do a lot of things, right? And it's always, I think, like when you have a small business and you start growing, it's always like, how do you get to that next step, right? And do you need to hire more specialized, professionals? Do you need to invest in more machines? Do you need to, and all of those are in their own challenges, right? They're complex. They require investments, funds, risk, and everything. So I think those are the main challenges that we face.
Well, and it's great that you're aware of it, because there's somebody that that I'm a client of, and because of the growth of that company, they have an insufficient infrastructure to manage that growth. So we see, as business coaches, sometimes people are having challenges in the business because there's insufficient business development. But just as often, we see people who grew too fast and hadn't thought through what was going to take to actually manage that growth. So
you're touching on a really good point. And actually, if I have something that I applied to my business that really served us well, and that I would highly recommend to anybody else who's building a business, is you may be starting very small, but you have to think big, and you have to think like a big corporation. You have to organize yourself like a big corporation. By that, I don't mean necessarily like hire thousands of people or create a lot of bureaucracy, but what I mean is, large companies operate with processes and systems, right? And you have to put that in place from the beginning, because if you wait until you become large enough that you have a lot of problems, then it's a terrible point to stop everything and try to put in place some processes and some systems. And so what served me here, and I think made a huge difference, is all the experience I had working for giant corporations, multinational corporations operating in over 100 different countries and all that, and seeing just how they do business, what kind of systems they use, how do they leverage these systems to do business. And so when I went into business for my own brand, right from the beginning, we put in place not the same systems because they're too heavy, they're too complex, but we put similar systems, equivalent, simpler systems, but systems that cover the same functions and same processes in place. So we're able to grow today. For example, today I could double my business without any growing pains. We already have financial system, payroll, MRP, manufacturing resource planning, inventory control, all that in place already. So we can grow. I mean, we can grow without any problem. And I think that's very, very important, because a lot of people start small. They think, oh, I'm very small, I just need an Excel spreadsheet and a Word document where I'll just stick my stuff. And then at some point, suddenly they get to like 1,000 orders a month, and they're like, I can't deal with it anymore. The spreadsheet is out of control. And so I think that's very important. And today, I mean, it's easier than ever. There's so many things in the cloud that are available, very cheap. You pay a few dollars a month, and you have access to an ERP application, accounting system, a fulfillment system, all in the cloud. You don't even have to install anything on your computer. I mean, it's easier than ever. It's easier than ever. So
you're inspiring me. What's inspiring you about your business these days?
Well, first of all, what inspires me in general is entrepreneurship. So I love to see, other people also succeed. I'm actually part of a local entrepreneur group here in Miami. It's very large. That's led by a friend of mine, Carlos Alvarez. The group is called Wizards of Ecom. We, we have regular meetings. There's at least one meeting a week, sometimes two meetings a week. There's events, there's trips. There was just a cruise. There's an annual cruise to share around, entrepreneurship, e-commerce, and all that. There's all kinds of events and trips and groups that go together to trade shows. And I mean, it's a very, very active group. It's a very large group. I think there's over 1,000 members in the group. So I love, I love entrepreneurship. I love to listen to other people's stories, also to see what they're doing, to see how they're being creative, how they're coming up with solutions to different problems, how they're inventing new ways to do business. And so that's what inspires me. Like I like to see that, and I like to participate in that, and I like it to be a collaborative effort. Sometimes we have very different businesses, but I love to hear about something that somebody else is doing, maybe in another vertical, and try to apply it to mine, and talk about what I do, and maybe have other people also do some things that are similar, in their own way, or in their own products, or in their own business. And I love that. I think that's very, very, very cool, very motivating. And beyond that, I mean, just for my own brand, I just see that skincare offers so many opportunities. I mean, there's new ingredients almost every month that come out. And I'm saying, like, new ingredients that come out from suppliers backed up by clinical trials, by a lot of work, and a lot of studies and all that, and around their efficiency and effectiveness, and how they can be used, and what problems they can solve. So it's almost unlimited. I mean, we could come up with new products almost on a daily basis, and there would still be more products to create and improve and invent. So it's almost like an infinite business. I mean, I love also, because there's no limit. The limit is only like what we can invent and what we can do and how much we can execute. But that's the only limit.
Wow. Well, I'm absolutely inspired by you and by your company. So is there anything you want to say before we wrap up this interview? Any parting thoughts?
Two things. First thing, one thing that's different about our business is that we actually manufacture in the US. All of our products are manufactured in our own facility by our own staff. We don't subcontract manufacturing, which is quite special for beauty companies. The majority of beauty companies, makeup, skincare, they all subcontract. Even very large brands and all that, they subcontract manufacturing. They think it's too complicated. It's an advantage for us to have everything vertically integrated and to control our manufacturing. It's a little more complicated, but it's worth it. It gives us a lot of agility and all that. It gives jobs to our employees. We have great employees. We have employees who've been with us for years. Some of them almost since the beginning of the brand. They continue to grow also their careers, with us, and their personal situation. And so sometimes, I just hear people saying, oh, no, it's impossible. You can manufacture in the US, you get import from China. That's the only way. But, it depends. It depends on the product. It depends on the situation. But it's not impossible to manufacture in the US. You can manufacture in the US your own products, and you can make it efficiently, and you can have great margins, and you can be successful, doing that. So that was one point. I talked about that at Prosper show in Las Vegas last year. I did a presentation around that concept of manufacturing in the US, and it's very possible, and is not as complicated as a lot of people imagine. Okay. And the second point is, please try our products. Just for the sake of curiosity, try one of our products. All our products are covered by a total satisfaction guarantee. So if you don't like the product, you can just return it. We'll return your money. But I really believe in our brand, and I'd love for your audience to also just try the products and know about the company and know about the story, behind the products. And if they like the products, then use them and tell other people about them. And it's hard when you're a small business to have that, that publicity and that visibility. And so anything, is always welcome that can help our brand be more well known and by our audience and by consumers in the US. So thanks a lot for having me on your show. And I hope that a lot of other people launch also their own brands and their businesses and can have a lot of success.
Thank you, Alexander. And thank you for, not only what you do for your customers, but what you do for your team and for our community. And manufacturing here in Florida, it was not, very well established. So being able to do manufacturing even here in Miami, thank you for doing that, because it provides jobs, and it increases the economic impact, that we can have. So thank you for that. And you can find out more about Alexander and his company, QRxLabs, at QRxLabs.com, on Amazon, and in a variety of other places. So when you type it in, you're going to find that they're everywhere. So I predict great things from you and for you, Alexander, and thank you for this.
Thank you. Thanks.
So that
Thanks,
is Business Spotlight Miami and South Florida, where we interview business owners that are making South Florida great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.